All right, guys. So to follow up on check win and display board, valid move, I got all these functions. I'm pretty confident they work as expected. I should put some comments in here. Like this is some comments, just understanding what these things do. So valid num is going to take an integer number, right? That's the input from the user, and it's going to check to see if that number is still available to be played, right? So, and the display board is kind of going to show the status of the board. So we're going to try to put these things together and build a little bit of a game here, working game. So ultimately, I want to put some of the stuff inside of a loop structure for sure, but I think, I'd probably want to start not being in a loop, right? Not being in a loop. So how about we display the board? I'm fine sort of setting the first letter to X or something like that. So there's different ways to do that. I could make a list. That might be a nice way for us to think about creating and using our own list. So I'm going to make a list of the letters that I can sort of alternate back and forth between. So I'll say, maybe I just got to ask the user for a question, for a space, right? What space would they like to place the tile in, or something like that? So how about we say, like, I don't know, tile is the right word, but say tile equals input and what space? Place the letter. I mean, if I really want to get fancy, I could sort of try to say what type of letter it is. That's a good one, maybe to build. But let's just start with letter. Place letter, right? Now, tile is going to be a value, right? So let's print out valid move, put tile in there, and see if this works. So let's see what we got so far. So where would you like to place the letter? What space would you like to place the letter? And I'm going to say 5. We always go for the middle. And it says false 0. Whoa, false. Well, I got check win going on here too, which is nice because it means the game's not over, so that's a good one. So it said seriously, I couldn't find the tile. Why couldn't it find the tile? And that has to do with the fact that I am comparing an integer, right, which is what tile is going to be kind of looking for, right? Because the board's full of integers, and the input function always makes things a string, right? So you want to remember that the default is a string. So if you want to, you could typecast it at this moment, make it an int. Of course, we're assuming that the user's not going to type something in, that's a string and bad. So, so we're going to run this thing. And what's specific? 5. Now it comes out true. So now you're at this point, well, how can I put an X into that spot where there's a 5? And this almost sounds like a function. This sounds like a function, really, because it's a little bit of work. But let's just say we're not going to write a function. We're just going to kind of do the work here. And so I would argue that I'm ready for sort of an if statement here. Like, if valid move tile, then I want to put an X in that spot. So so then the question is, like, what spot is that, right? It's really the board index 1 spot, right? Well, how do I define that in terms of 5, like the value 5 that they gave me? And that's not the easiest thing. It's almost like you have to you know, iterate through the board looking for that place. So you have to, but this is the way I would do it. So I'm going to say, oh, you know what? If board row column is equal to the tile value that you gave me, then you know what? I want to take that board row column and put an X there. I'm already kind of abstracting this a little bit because I have this in this thing. So I'm going to say I'm going to put letters index 0 there. I should put an X there. And then I want to display the board. So let's take a look. What space would you like to put a letter 5? And I got 0. It's not a winner. It's not a winner. It's not what I expected. So, so we've got to ask ourselves why that turned out like that. Oh, well, I said board row column equals letters index 0. So it didn't throw an error at me, but it also didn't do what I expected, right? So I expected it to change the value. So double equal sign is a comparison. So this is going to evaluate like true or false. What I really want to do is assign a value. I want to take this value and put it in that location, right? This is why you want to constantly be testing your code, you know, because you make sure it's behaving like you expect. So let's put a 5 there, and yeah, now we're getting an X in there. Okay, great. By the way, I don't like the way that looks. What space would you like to place a letter in? Okay, so how do you like that? So now I'm at a point where, okay, great. Well, what if it wasn't a valid move, right? What if it wasn't a valid move? Well, if it wasn't a valid move, I should probably do something else. I should probably say, hey, hey, that's not a valid move. That's not a valid location. So let's see how this works and how this looks. So we'll run this thing. Let's try something. Well, I guess they're all valid moves, but what about this? Probably causes an error. Okay, so that's not a valid location. 10's not a valid location. And okay, great, but I probably want to keep asking for a letter, right? And so that's going to be a loop in itself, right? So I want to keep doing it. I don't know how many times I have to do it. So it's more like, wow, it's not a valid move. I want to keep asking for that thing. Otherwise, I want to put that information in there, or print out, hey, give me another letter or something like that. So I'm going to take this guy actually. So I kind of just changed the structure, which I hope doesn't freak you out too much. But it's like, it's harder to define that in terms of the positive, you know. So okay, so now let's. Oh whoa. All right, what do you think about that? Okay, so here we are at the stage where if it's not a valid move, I'm gonna print, hey, that's not a valid location, and then I'm gonna have to kind of reprompt, right? I'm gonna have to kind of say, hey, I need you to give me a tile, right? And we'll try this whole thing again, right? We'll try this whole thing again with tile, updated kind of value for tile. Else we can put this value in the board, right? So what space would you like to put a letter in? 5? There's an X there. and then we're done. Oh, that's great. Okay, thanks. Let's try this where it's not a valid move. What's this about? A 10. I want to put in 10. So that's not a valid location. What space would you like to place letter in? I don't know, 45. That's not a valid location. So this is going to keep doing this, which is beautiful. That's what I want, right? And I think he has some similar structure in slide puzzle. Right? If they didn't give you a valid move, you have to keep asking. And so now if I say 2, we'll put an X there. Okay. So this is kind of an interesting place to be. And I think you got some good ideas going here. I think you're at a point where you would want to now think about how to ask for an O and determine that it's an O. And then, I wouldn't necessarily put in a loop right now. I mean, you could, or you could just kind of copy paste code to repeat the action you want to repeat, and then finally like step back and look at it and go, you know what, I just copied and pasted the same code like 4 or 5 times. That's a loop, right? I do have a value that's changing or value that's changing inside that loop. So let me think about how to create variables to change as I loop. But I can actually put that code inside the loop. But you might want to first just sort of copy, paste, and incrementally develop the code. So yeah, I just don't want to give you everything. I just want to give you a little bit of a start. But this is I think a pretty good start. Okay.